All right, so shalom, shalom. All right, we'll start off by saying Barakatham, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah. Then I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, and Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of the great millstone. And shout out to the whole elect, start with the 144,000, shalom. All right, so, the title of this lesson will be Know You Not Your Own Selves. And when I woke up this morning, going to practice and whatnot, as you can see, I put this in my notes, 6:42 a.m. The spirit hit me in this aspect, and it's like a self-reflecting lesson, as well as like, a lesson for edification for the brothers, Lord willing, right? Lord willing, we want to later, right, watching the lesson, title of the lesson will later be, a new day coming, Lord willing. We get to do a live lesson, we do that live sit down, but we only get the lesson done, before I head to this meeting, because, as we get into these last days, as we get into, as temptation coming out more and more, as you can see, these last days, you have to seduce the spirits, right? First Timothy chapter 4, right? You have to seduce the spirits. And I did a lesson on that, those seducing spirits, they come in all types of ways. But you also got to understand, your own self, right? And by that is like, put an analogy, like if you go to a gym, or for instance, if you playing a sport, and your coach tell you like, hey, right, you need to work on jumping higher, right? Well, that's a weakness within yourself. So you're gonna go and work to be able to jump higher, right? So you know your own self, you know your weakness, you know what's holding you back, that's keeping you, that's trying to because each and every day we war in the flesh, right? Paul talked about it in Romans chapter 7. We war in the flesh each and every day, and in this deadly battle, we got to be on our watch point, we got to be on our tower, we got to be focused, right? And any little time we slip in the fan, which we will, man falls 7 times, right? It ain't saying nobody perfect, but you know what you can do to sharpen your sword. Our sword is true. We know what you can do to sharpen our sword, sharpen ourselves, right? To be ready for the ultimate test, right? You know your weakness that's holding you back, that's pulling you from really locking in and going hard as you can in this truth. Like Yahabashim Yahushua is like Yahabashim Yahushua is called us, because it's a gift to have this faith. Right, I had quoted something at the camp. Your effort level shows your interest level, right? Well, when you in this daily battle, you have these little things that's pulling you away. You doing lessons every other day, right? But you can do more. You need to figure out those weaknesses, or you can do more. Just as well, if in the weight room, for instance, if you want to do more weight, you're gonna put in more work in the weight room, right? You're gonna go in there, you're gonna find a weakness hold you back. If it's bench press, you're gonna work to get your bench press right. If it's squat, you're gonna work to get your squat right. Well, that's how he is in this truth, right? So I want to start off with 2 Corinthians, right? Because we know the point is, right? Because Satan ain't gonna try to attack you in all ways. If if he can't get you in argument before a camp, or even one of the brothers was talking about this, but if he can't get you in this way, he gonna try you in this way, right? If he can't get you in that way, he gonna try you in another way, right? It's gonna be temptation, right? Matter of fact, before we even go, let's go here. Start right here. The book of Sirach, chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, "My son, if thou comes to serve the Lord Yahweh, prepare thy soul for temptation." Right? So there's going to be temptation. Right? There's going to be temptation. There's going to be. It's not just going to be no walk in the park. We gonna go through these things. We gonna face these things. Matter of fact, what's that precept I was just reading? Let me see. I just opened up my notes. Let's see if it come over. If I was just reading the precept. Bear with me. Right here. Right? Luke 22 and 28. He said, "Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptation." That's talking about the elect. Because we're going to face a lot of things. We're going to go through a lot of hardship. We're going to go through a lot of pain and suffering. We're going to go through these things. Right? This is where Yahweh Shai, this is where the prophet Forrest, what the men they went through these things. We're going to go through these things. Right? And within that temptation, when the man is tempted, right? You can't say tempted. Let's go to that real fast. Let's turn that off. Let's go to that real fast, right? I got 2 precepts I wrote down. I'm just flowing through the spirit, right? This is James 1, right? And there's some things that me and the brothers was talking about as well earlier, right? James 1 and verse 12 says, "Blessed is the man that endures temptation," right? For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. And that's what we're doing. We're enduring temptation, right? So we know that the devil, he gonna try to tempt us in these certain ways, gonna try to get us in these ways that, and try to make us move in that flesh, try to get us out of the way of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because 1 Peter 5:5 tells us, right, that the devil walking like a lion or lurking, see who he may devour. I'm really paraphrasing. So you got to be on that watchtower. You got to be focused. Remember, on this spiritual path, this thing's on the right, things on the left. Soon as you get distracted, as soon as you let them grab you up, you're gonna put these things right and left, right? And as the scripture said, right? Let's continue to read. He said, "Blessed the man that endure temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord Yahweh hath promised to them that love him." The ones who continued in the temptation, Luke 22:28. The ones who endured, the ones who steadfast, the ones who sharpen themselves within his truth, right? Who sharpen themselves, understanding that, okay, he trying to get me this way, okay, boom, I'm finna block that out. He trying to get me this way, boom, I'm block that out, right? Instead, watch what he say, right? He said, "Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yahweh. For Yahweh cannot be tempted with evil, neither he tempt any man." He said, "But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed," right? So it's your own lust. It's things that you're weak in. And guess what you're weak in? The flesh is weak. The flesh is weak, the spirit is willing. So you got to understand, you know your own selves, right? You got to understand how to put yourself in the right position, right? That's why it goes into what fellowship have righteous with unrighteous. It goes into what John chapter 10, right? It's like Revelation chapter 10, right? You know, with John 10, it was sweet in his mouth, but in his stomach was bitter, because you have to cut off family. You have to cut off a lot of these things. You have to get away from these things, right? You know your own self. You know what's blocking. You know when Satan trying to get you, right? We're not ignorant of Satan's devices, right? What is the 1 Corinthians 12:2? It said, "Now concerning the spiritual gifts." One of the spiritual gifts is discernment. There's spiritual gifts in here. Bear with me. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 12:10 says, "To another working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits." Right? You have discernment, right? You have discernment to see what's going on, to see what's right, to understand. Right? These are spiritual gifts we have by Yahushua. He blessed us with, so that we won't be ignorant. Right? As it says, "Now concerning spiritual gifts, brother, I will not have you ignorant." Right? And we have the knowledge and understanding we have by Yahushua. We have these spiritual gifts to be able to understand and see these things. Therefore, what? We wise as serpent, harmless as a dove. That's why Yahweh Yahushua let Adam go off in the garden. So that now we understand the path of evil. We understand the path of righteousness. Now it's supposed to stay focused on that path of righteousness. And it's for us to understand the things that are trying to pull us away into that path of evil. Right? So when you draw away, you draw of your own lust, because the flesh is weak. So therefore, you got to purge out with that flesh. You got to purge out with your own mindset. You know, that's the going back to 1 Corinthians. What is that? It might be 2 Corinthians. Yeah, 2 Corinthians 12, and I started verse 7. It says, "Lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh," right? "The messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure." You know, buffet me. Let's go there. It's like if any notifications. Let's see. So what does word buffet mean, right? It's like it. Let's see if we can do it this way. Okay, it definitely ain't. Okay, what does it mean to buffet someone? To strike them repeatedly, or to subject them to repeated hardship, right? So you see, right? So that's what Yahweh Shah allowed Satan. You remember when in Job chapter 1, when the Most High allowed Satan to tempt Job, when he loses wife, lose his kids, lose his cat, lose all the things, right? He lose them things, right? Most High allows Satan to do that, right? That's that thorn in the flesh. That's to keep that just balance, to keep in your watchtower, right? Because the things that we're weak in allows us to strive and go harder in it, right? Okay, Satan's trying to get me this way. Okay, bet I'm finna lock in this way, right? You know, he's trying to pull me in the flesh this way. Now we're gonna get away from that. We're gonna move away from that. Hey, I can't hang with you no more. I can't be around you no more, right? I don't want to watch it no more. I don't want to listen to this. We gotta start preparing, right? You gotta start preparing and getting yourself ready because the ultimate test coming, and the things that I don't like to use sports analogy, but athletes who are considered, quote unquote, how they say the greatest of all time, whatnot, it's not because they're strength, it's because they excel in their weaknesses, right? You have to excel in your weaknesses, things that are trying to pull you back into truth. That's what you got to excel in, purging out the way of this flesh, because this flesh is weak. So we got to purge out all aspects of ways of this flesh. Even though we're in this flesh, we're in this world, but we got to start moving spiritually, thinking spiritually at all times, right? That's how you have to be, right? That spiritual discipline, that desiring that sincere milk. Because the flesh is going to desire those things of the flesh, right? It's going to pull you to the lesser ways. It's going to pull you to those aspects. It's going to make you feel like you got to do those things. It's going to lure you into doing those things, right? But you got to have the spiritual discernment, the spiritual gifts to push it away, to get away from it, right? It says, verse 8, for this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Because the things that we're weak in, we hearken on and we do it because we know the grace of Yahweh Shai is upon us, and the spirit of Yahweh Shai supplies us and helps us fight and overcome this temptation that tries to pull us, right? It said, most gladly, therefore, I would rather glorify in my infirmities that the power of Hamashiach may rest upon me. So he glorifies his infirmity, he glorifies his weakness. He glorifies the things that try to hold him back. Not saying he glorifies sin, but hey, I need to work on this, and I'm going to do this more. And I need to study more, and I'm finna force myself into doing it. Right? It's like if you trying to get to a higher bench press, you can't keep lifting the same weight. You got to go up. You got to glorify in weakness, man, in your infirmities. It's hard for you to do 215 pounds. Well, you got to keep trying until you can get it. That's what we doing. We pressing it out. We pushing in the spirit, right? You know, let's see. Let's go to the NLT. Let's go to the NLT version of this. Bear with me. Come on. There we go. Slocky, bear with me. You know, man. Like I say, man, you know, hey, you know your own self. You know what's holding you back, right? So 2 Corinthians 12, we'll start at verse 7, right? It says, in NLT, it says, even though I have received such wonderful revelations from Yahweh, so to keep me from becoming proud, for being boastful, for being thinking you already made it, right? I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. That's that temptation, right? Satan gonna come try to get you. Hey, I can't get you this way. Let's get him this way. Hey, we can't get him. Let's get him this way. Let's get him through these girls. Let's get him through this money, right? Right. That's why you can't have the love of the world. Everything in this world is wicked. This world is ruled by Satan's sons and daughters. Esau is the physical form of Satan, man. Right? He says, 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. That's the grace of Yahweh Shai. That's why Yahweh Shai, he was crucified. Right? Now we say by faith and grace, having faith. Right? Yahweh Shai, grace upon it, because we know we're not perfect. But it's the ones who strive and push. Right? Who do the sincere works. Right? It says, my power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Mashiach can work through me, right? Because that's why Yahweh said what? I comfort them who are sick. Not those ones who think they already big, bold, mighty, proud, think they already got it all done. He comfort them who are sick. He comfort the ones who know that we comfort the ones, what Paul say, if I consent to the law, then it's good. He comfort the ones that we know we living wrong. You know, he comfort the ones who know that, you know, we ain't got it until Yahweh Shai make us whole. Each and every day he's supplying, because he cannot have the fullness. He overcame the temptation. Right? When he came as Yahweh Shai. He came perfect. He didn't sin. Right? He didn't sin. Even when the devil taught him everything, he didn't fall for it. Right? And a lot of you Jakes, and a lot of people, hey, if somebody comes to you the right amount of money, you gone. Right? Things that such. Right? But you got to build yourself up. Right? You got to build yourself up through the spirit of Yahweh Shai. Right? That leads you to the priest. Let's go to it. Right? 2 Corinthians 13 and verse 5, right? It says, examine yourselves, right? Matter of fact, let's start right here in verse 4, right? It says, for though he was crucified through weakness, yet he lives by the power of Yahweh. For we also are weak in him, but we shall live with him by the power of Yahweh towards you. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know you not your own selves, but how that Hamashiach Yahweh is in you, said you be ropeables, right? So don't you know your own selves, right? You gotta know, right? Yeah, we gonna seem weak down here. Yeah, we seem like the confound, the despised ones, but we're strong in Yahweh Shai, right? We're strong in power of Yahweh Shai. We have the spirit of Yahweh Shai. We know who we are, right? So therefore, you're gonna have these temptations, you're gonna have these things to try to pull you down. They're gonna try to pull you away. They're gonna try to distract you from that. That's that spiritual demon of doubt, right? You have the physical form of Satan, right? Esau, Edom, right? Then you have that spiritual demon of doubt, right? They try to get into your head, right? They try to make those weaknesses, try to attack those weaknesses, right? Let's see, I'm finna go to the NLT. Because I was reading, this morning I was reading the NLT. I actually read from 4, but we'll start at verse 4. We're going to read on down. It says, although he was crucified in weakness, he now lives in the power of Yahweh. We too are weak. Right? But we're weak in this world, right? We're weak to the things of the world, but we're strong in Yahweh Shai, just as Hamashiach was, right? It says, but when we deal with you, we will be alive with him, and we will have Yahweh's power, right? That's what you got to understand. Right, that's what you gotta understand. Due time, we're gonna receive that crown. Due time, we're gonna receive that crown, man. Right? What we just reading in James chapter 1? Those who are doing temptation. In due time, we're gonna receive that crown. Due time, we're gonna get there. But right now, we gotta overcome this temptation. Right now, we gotta overcome this just as well as Yahweh Shai did. Right now, we gotta overcome this place, man. Right, which we're gonna overcome this place as long as we keep faith and do the works of Yahweh Shai. Right? It says, examine yourselves to see if your faith is genuine. Test yourselves. Surely you know that Yahweh Shai Mashiach is among you. Test yourselves. Well, also Paul was just saying in chapter 12. He boasting our weakness. Test yourselves, man. Scribe, push. The things that hold you back, test yourself, man. You know? Right? It says, Mashiach is among you. If not, you have failed the test of genuine faith. As you test yourselves, I hope you will recognize that we have not failed the test of apostolic authority. We pray to Yahweh that you will not do what is wrong by refusing our correction. I hope we won't need to demonstrate our authority when we arrive. Do the right thing before we come. That's when Paul used to write letters, right? And then right now he get on the Corinthians, right? Because Corinthians had a lot of sinful and bogus ways, right? He said, do the right thing before we come, even if that makes it look like we have failed. Even if that make it look like we have failed to demonstrate our authority. For we cannot oppose the truth, but always stand for the truth. We are glad to seem weak, right? We're glad to seem weak. Nah, we don't want to do that. You know, Yahweh Shai could have easily came and I was just reading Luke 22 when they came for Yahweh Shai and Peter and them. They had a sword and they swung a sword and they chopped off one of the guy's ear. Yahweh Shai healed him. He could have easily cut up and just got rid of them all, right? He seemed like weak, but we're powerful in Yahweh Shai because, hey, in the kingdom they ain't gonna be able to do nothing to us. He understood the will. He understood the purpose. That's what we gotta do. We gotta understand the will. We gotta understand this ain't not kingdom. We're supposed to go through temptation. We're supposed to go through these things now, right? He said we are glad to seem weak if it helps show that you are actually strong. We pray that you will become mature, man. Right? He said, I'm writing this to you before I come, hoping that I won't need to deal severely with you. So Paul wasn't playing with him, man. Right? He said, when I do come, for I want to use the authority the Lord Yahweh has given me to strengthen you, not to tear you down. Right? And that's what we're doing now. We using the things that Yahweh Shai set for us to build us up. Because Paul also said in Thessalonians, right, that when I was with you, I told you we were facing things. These are all things that we were told we were faced, we would go through. Right? Every temptation that's set, Yahweh Shai said it for us. Matter of fact, right here, let's go to, I think it's 2 Corinthians 10. And I'm going to read it in the KJV, then I read it in the NLT. right? Bear with me. No, it's 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 13, right? I read it in the KJV real fast. It said, therefore, have no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man, right? But Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with temptation also make a way to escape that you may be able to bear it. So that's a way to escape. That's that grace. Yahweh Shem Shah. Yeah, we're gonna face this, but Yahweh Shem Shah says a way to escape. That's why we gotta build ourselves up through the faith, through this knowledge and understanding, right? That shield of faith, right? That shield of faith, right? Let's read this in the NLT and I go to Ephesians. The temptation in your life are no different from what others experience. Yahweh Shah, the disciples, the apostles, right? They face these things as well, right? It said, Yahweh is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can endure, right? That's you keeping that faith, right? You know, a lot of people fall away because they lose faith, man. They lose faith. You know your own self. You got to examine yourself in the faith, right? You got to examine your own self in the faith, right? They fall out because they lose faith. Nobody perfect. Yeah, you're going to go through things. You're going to face things, right? But that's the test in the faith. And you know your weaknesses, so therefore you got to strive, you got to push and boast in those infirmities, man. Right? As just Paul said, you got to boast in those infirmities, boast living weakness, because you know Yahweh Shem Shah got you, right? When Yahweh Shah is for you, can't nothing be against you, man. When Yahweh Shem Shah is for you, can't nothing be against you, right? Let's go to Ephesians real fast. Ephesians 6, right? I'm going to start at verse 13. It says, wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having the breastplate of righteousness. And your feet show the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh. So this is our sword, man. This is our sword. Right? Pray without ceasing. Right? You gotta pray. Right? You gotta study. This is our sword, right? This is what we're preparing ourselves in. The word. This is what we're going to battle for. This is what we're going to battle with. In that daily battle, right? We're facing this spiritual. Our sword is His truth, His word. So therefore, we gotta boast in His word. We gotta strive. We gotta push. We gotta boast in the spirit. How about Yahweh Shah? Right? You know, we gotta push. Right? And I'm going to say, when we boast in our infirmities, we got to walk in that spirit. How about Yahweh Shah? Right? Understand that He's going to lead us. He's going to guide us. And those temptations, those weaknesses that the Satan trying to get us in, right? You got to understand how about Yahweh Shah going to lead us through it. Right? That's why those weaknesses that we have, we boast in our infirmities, we boast in our weaknesses. But the point is, you know your own self. You know what's holding you back. You know the ways, you know the ways that Satan going to try to tempt you, man. You know what He's going to try to tempt you in. So therefore, prepare yourself. Get right in it. Right? I got a few more precepts. This is Luke 22 and verse 31. Right? It says, and the Lord said, this is how Shah talking. It's in red. Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift through his wheat. He trying to pull you away. Satan trying to get you. That's spiritual. We about to get spiritual wickedness in high places. And you got to understand, Esau Edom as well. This goes to Esau Edom as well. All the affairs, all the signs, and one of the miracles that Esau trying to profess out in this world today, right? To try to trick you, try to pull you. Once again, you got the spiritual demon of doubt, right? Then you got the physical forms of Satan. It was Esau Edom, right? They trying to pull you away. Those devils trying to get you in all type of aspect, trying to make all this, everything in this world be glorified in front of you. You know your weakness, man. Money, car, clothes, all that. They know Jake pressure point, but we have the spirit of Yahweh outside to discern and to see these things, to understand these things means nothing. Yeah, the flesh wants these things because the flesh is weak, but we got to boast in our weakness, boast in our firmness, let our flesh know, nah, we good off all that. We got the spirit of Yahweh. Our life is here with Yahweh, right? We setting our affections on things above, right? It's Luke 22 and verse 32. He said, but I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, and when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren, right? So we know, right? Yahweh said what, right? My Father had given me you, no man can pluck you out of my hand. So understanding that when you of this elect, Lord willing, right, you of that 144,000, right? Ain't nothing gonna pull you away. So you got to examine yourself in the faith and understand whether you're a rope or you really in this thing. You gonna let those weaknesses win? You gonna let those weaknesses pull you away, right? You gonna let those weaknesses grab you up, right? Examine yourself, man, right? Know you not your own selves, right? So I got one more precept. Let me close out. Let's go to I want to say that might be 1 Timothy 2. No, 2 Timothy 2:15, right? Right here, 2 Timothy 2:15 says, "Study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth," man. So study to show thyself approved, man. Get his word, getting this truth. Studies. You know your weakness. You know your own self. You know what's stopping you. You know what's holding you back. So study to show thyself approved, man. Push and scribe, right? Push and scribe. Examine yourself, right? So, Lord willing, right, with that being said, the point was kind of made. I had a few more precepts around it. Understand it, man. Say he's going to try to come at you in all type of ways. 1 Peter chapter 5. He's searching, seeing who he can get. But you got to stay focused. You got to stay on that watchtower, man. Right? You got to push and scribe. Because ultimately, that 144,000 ain't coming out. The virgin followed the Lamb wherever you go, if merely paraphrase, Chris say. They ain't following out. Right? So those things that he's trying to get us in, hey, we boasting them. We scribing them. Hey, you trying to get me this way? Hey, I'm gonna strengthen myself through the Spirit. How about y'all shine that way? Right? Stand focused, stand on that just balance, keep the work. And that's also to understand that's what keep you at work, man. That's what keep you going. That's what keep you going this thing. That's why Paul said he boasting his infirmities, because that keep him going. Right? It gives you, it's like, once again, a gym analogy. When you finally get that 215, you see you making progress. Oh yeah, now it's time to keep going. I mean, now it's time to keep going up, man. It help you keep going, help you keep that work going, man. So examine yourself, man. Find out what you need to fight in and strive in and push in. Just know that Yahweh Shem outside, he's going to be with you. He's going to lead you. He's going to provide. As long as you walking in the path of Yahweh Shem outside, and then you have the spirit of Yahweh Shem outside, he's going to lead you and he's going to guide you, man. Right? Matter of fact, before we close out, Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, right? It says, "Trust in the Lord Yahweh with all thy heart, and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths," man. "Be not wise in thy own eyes, for the Lord Yahweh, and depart from evil," man. Right? So with that being said, Lord willing, hope this lesson was edifying and exalting. Right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole for you. Let's start with the 144,000. Shalom.